Well, hey guys, it is February 2nd, and we are here for the February edition of This Month in Housing, where we are going to review what happened in January 2024 compared to January 2023. Nothing crazy, no big surprises here today, so we're going to keep this moving quickly to get you on to the weekend. Once I run through all of the stats for Muskogee and Harris County and Russell and Lee County, then we will bring in our local mortgage expert, Dustin Steele with Northpointe Bank, to give us all the latest in interest rate buzz. So let's jump right in and get to the information because I know that's what you're here for. All right, for Muskogee and Harris County in January 2024, there were 136 closed sales, and last January there were 163. So closed sales were down. Already knew that was going to be the case from what pending sales were looking like going into the end of last year and beginning of this year. So not a big shock there. Average days on the market for January was 44. Last January it was 49, so down just a little bit. Average sales price for January 2024 was $256,000 in Muskogee and Harris County. In January of last year, it was $235,000, so we're up a little bit. List to sale price percent, what did it list for? What did it sell for? In January, it was 97.45%. Last January, it was 98.08%. That goes statistically with what we are seeing. We are definitely seeing more negotiations on contracts and sales than we have in the past. But that also goes to the fact that we're seeing a little bit longer days on market, which always brings on a little bit more of a negotiation situation. Whether it's negotiation of sales price, we see negotiation of closing costs a lot more right now. So there are some general negotiations, but pricing is still holding strong. Currently, there are about 370 homes active in the MLS. Last year, this time, there were about 285, so we are seeing inventory go up. As a matter of fact, me and my team, we've got like a good handful of houses coming on the market over the next couple weeks, so stay tuned for that. Some really good stuff hitting. So we are seeing sellers kind of getting off the fence and making those decisions to go ahead and move forward with selling in 2024, which is going to do nothing but help our housing shortage situation. So we're excited about that. There are currently 311 pending sales. This time last year, there were 297. So not really a big difference, up just a little bit, but kind of on par with where we were last year. Now, let's jump forward to Russell and Lee County. In January, there were about 84 closed sales, and this time last year in January, there were about 76. So a couple more closed sales this past January in Russell and Lee County, but not a big difference. Average days on market was 47 days. Last year in January, it was 36, so we're up a little bit. Average sales price was $270,000 this past January, and January a year ago it was $235,000. So we've seen some good average price increase that we like to see. List to sale price percent this past January was 98.5. Last year it was 100%, which meant there wasn't big negotiation happening in January of last year, but now we are definitely seeing a little more negotiation. Nothing crazy, but it's kind of getting back to a little, maybe a normalcy of what we were used to seeing in negotiations. There are currently about 166 active listings in the MLS for East Alabama Board of Realtors. And this time last year, there were 110. So again, we're a little up on inventory. We like to see that. Pending sales, there are currently about 146, and this time last year there were 240. So we're definitely down on pending sales, but seeing some inventory come back to the market in that area is going to help us see more pending sales, because there's definitely some pent-up buyer demand in Russell and Lee County. So as we get more properties on the market, we're going to see those pendings go up. I feel really confident. So that is our market stats for January. Now, I am going to give some additional details on our website. If you go to kimmixon.com and you go to the blog section, you'll see this month in housing. It'll say January review. And when you click on it, this video will be there. But also below that is just some quick statistical information that gives a little more detail on like what types of loans people were getting, those types of things. It's just information. If you're an information person, it gives you a little more information. But now we are going to bring in Dustin to talk all things interest rates.
Hey, hey.
Hey, hey. All right. Give me the good news.
Things have not gotten worse. So
okay, that's good news.
I do think things are on the decline. I mean, as me and Kim were talking earlier, they are going to kind of gradually fall. Right now, rates for a conventional loan, you're going to find yourself, depending on credit, but about the average rate right now is about 6.625, 6.5, somewhere in that range. And that's without buying down the rate. So that's without paying additional fees for a lower rate. VA, FHA, you could see that anywhere from, honestly, depending on your situation, you could probably see that anywhere from 5.75 up to about 6.25. So anywhere in there is a couple more factors that play into that for those lower rates, but you could see it as low as 5.75. But things are on the decline. Still want to keep an eye on unemployment. That is one of the biggest pieces. Today, the Bureau of Labor Statistics released their January jobs report. It was kind of inflated. They anticipated about 180,000 in new jobs.
Give us the real news, Dustin. We want to know the truth. Give us the truth.
It was supposed to be 180,000. They said that we added 353, but that did not account for seasonal job loss. We actually lost about 2.6 million jobs.
So, but explain to them what seasonal job loss is.
So seasonal would be anything like anything from a Christmas tree farm to retail. Sales. We always bulk that up in the month of December just for the holiday.
A lot of employers, department stores, I mean, all across the board, people will bring on the seasonal employees for the busier Christmas season. So, but there's job loss with that.
Right. So there was some job loss. We didn't truly gain that many jobs. So I still think that is heading in the direction that we unfortunately need it to go for interest rates to fall. So, by the end of the year, maybe we start seeing things in the fives consistently. I do think we're really close on your FHA and VA for being there pretty consistently. So we'll see what happens. But,
and we've got a lot of the chief economists at many of the organizations that I follow, like National Association of Realtors and other aspects of the housing market, are all pretty consistent with what they're saying. And Dustin and I have talked about this as well. Predictions are, for whatever predictions are worth, that we are going to see a slow decline of rates this year, probably nothing drastic, unless something drastic happens. And we are hopeful that they might even be under 6 as early as mid-year or as late as towards the end of the year.
I could see it. I mean, I think it's possible. I mean, if things keep going the way they're going, and it has been very gradual since October of last year. So, I mean, and we did. I mean, depending, I'm sure people in October, I don't think I had anything this high, but I know that the 8s existed. There were people getting things in the 8s. So it's possible. I do think, we've gone all the way from 8 all the way down to about 6.5 on if you're just looking at a mix of products. So,
well, and as we start to see rates decline, we're going to have more conversation about refinance. So talk quickly about that. If you're starting to get, especially for VA, people who have VA financing, they may be getting some mailers, different things like that are giving some information that sounds too good to be true. So tell us a little bit about your thoughts on that.
If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. So,
usually,
right now, what you will probably get, especially if you are VA, those are, I hate to sell myself short here, but it is probably the easiest loan to do is a VA interest rate reduction loan. So that you're going to get probably a one-page piece of paper that says your rate could be as low as this. I just had an example yesterday where someone called me and they told them that they could get them down to 4.75, but it did not mention what that was going to cost them. It just said that there was no out-of-pocket cost. And that doesn't mean there's no fees, because there are fees on a refinance, just like a purchase. They're not quite as high, but there are fees.
Nothing is free, people.
Right, yeah. Everything, there's a fee for everything. But it didn't tell you what it was going to cost you. And so that refinance, if I just had to ballpark it, it's probably a $15,000 refinance to get your rate as low as 4.75.
So if it sounds too good to be true, it might be.
Right.
And what I'm going to suggest you do, if you get a mailer like that, especially if you're a VA loan participant and you get something, because you will start getting some things as rates drop, call Dustin. Let him make sure you've got the true picture before you're picking up the phone or responding to something that may not actually be in your best interest. And the other thing too is we are expecting rates to continue downward for a little bit. So you may not want to jump on that refinance right this second.
Right,
you may want to wait, give it a couple of months. Let's see where things go. Of course, we can never make promises about where rates are going to go. And anybody who tries to tell you a guarantee of what rates are going to be doing this year, that's just not really something anyone can promise. But we do have a lot of positive information that it's looking like things are going to be good this year. We're kind of seeing the results of that.
I think
We're
so.
down. We're already down from what rates were, 4 months ago, 3 months ago.
And
so
that hasn't been a big change. I mean, it really has. A lot of times you don't see, good or bad, just to see it go, the needle move an entire point and a half is a lot in a 90 or 120 day period. I mean, it just is. And we've had it move to the good. So, if you do get some stuff in the mail, call me. I do not think it's time to refinance unless you are someone that has a rate that is just out of this world high. We'll see what happens. But my old rule of thumb was a whole point. If you could get an entire point off, then I thought it made sense. Rates got so high that I'm not even sure if a point makes sense at this point, because I do think you will see, at some point we'll be back in the fours. I believe that.
You heard it here first, people.
I do think we'll get back
Dustin's
there.
bold prediction. I'm
we'll
assuming
get
that's
back
not a 2024 prediction.
No, probably not. But if you're waiting around for the threes, I think you may wait a really long time for that refinance. So I don't think that's feasible. But if you could get something, maybe a point and a half, ideally, I think 2. If you get 2% off, that's amazing. I'm just not sure they're going to fall quite fast enough to get there.
Not this year, anyway.
Not this year, anyway. But yeah. So
All
call
right.
me and we'll look at it.
Yeah. Okay, this is all great information, and that is our This Month in Housing January review, looking ahead into interest rates going into the year. I hope everybody has a wonderful February, and we will be back here in March with This Month in Housing, the February review. And maybe Dustin will have even more good information for us on interest rates. And if there's something specific you want us to go over, especially with regard to market, housing market on my side, or interest rate, mortgage market on Dustin's side, drop us a note, send us a question, whatever. You can text, email. We're happy to kind of format this in a way that it's most informative for you guys. So that's it. That's all we got for today. Y'all have a great weekend, and we will see you next month.